Welcome, everybody, to OnPodcast, the On Microsoft podcast, where we talk about Microsoft stuff on a podcast. I am your host today, Kareem Anderson, and I'm joined with the world's greatest co-host.
Riff Bacchus.
And we're going to be talking about, you guessed it, Microsoft stuff. We have some Windows news. We have some Teams news, sort of. We have some Edge news. We've got some Flight Simulator news. We got a whole bunch of stuff. I'll let Eric start us down. We'll start us off with the breakdown.
And we're starting off with the biggest news of them all, which is the big Windows 11 feature finally going live. Well, kind of, not really. The Windows 11 chat app is now available for some people to use. Yours truly only has it on one of his PCs, but I know Kareem also had it. But if you're not able to test out the new chat app, we'll let you know what it is and get you up to speed on the new Windows 11 chat app.
Yeah, then we got Edge version 92 coming out, and we'll give you a breakdown of all the features, new things that are being baked into it that you can kind of keep an eye out for and see how that's progressing.
And then we're not done with Windows 11. Microsoft just pushed out the fourth major Windows 11 build, and there's a lot of new stuff here that we want to go through.
Yeah, and then we have our favorite section, which is the fast recap, where we can kind of stuff a ton of smaller information into a time block, roughly about 8 to 10 minutes. I try to do 4 to 6. It's just a personal challenge, but we'll be talking about the Windows Store, Edge in the Windows Store, or showing up in the Windows Store, redesigned context menus, which is big because it's part of the design UI of Windows 11, the Amazon App Store, and support for Google's new Android app bundles, which were going to be kind of a hurdle for Microsoft. Then we talk about Microsoft acquiring a new cloud security provider, which is kind of big. And then we got some kind of news to cover to protect you guys, which is the Windows installer being kind of a Trojan horse, but we'll get into that. And lastly, we might touch upon was our, it's falling off my head on this one. We were just talking about it off mic.
Microsoft just acquired a new cloud security leader.
No, it was something different than that.
Oh.
We'll go when it comes up. It's going to come up organically. We'll talk about it a bit.
We'll flow through it, so don't worry. It'll come back to us.
Yeah, and then we got our favorite section, which is the week ahead, where he gets to brag about stuff.
And in this case, it's not actually me bragging about stuff this week. It's our writer, our gaming editor, Laurent, who has a review code for Microsoft Flight Simulator on Xbox Series X. I played with him for a little bit today in multiplayer, and he said that he was very impressed with load times and the frame rates and the overall performance of the game. And we have some of his B-roll and some of his footage to share, and some of his early impressions ahead of his full review coming up on Monday.
Yeah, so with that being said, let's give you guys the news. Today, we'll start off with the first, which again, we hinted at the Windows 11 chat app, which was Microsoft's attempt to oust Skype in favor of Microsoft Teams. It just started showing up for devices. I believe that the rollout is, I've been saying AB because not every device is getting it, not every insider is getting it. So don't feel left out, or that your insider new build is broken or anything like that. It just may not have come. The other thing that I found kind of might work too is after I installed the latest Windows 11 build, if you restart it after that, another restart for some reason, the app will show up in the taskbar sometimes. So
that's what worked for me on my PC, on one PC, but I tried it on another and I didn't get it. So it's still possibly in A/B testing and a small test and a small rollout.
As long as you didn't restart it and it bricked, I think you'll be fine to wait for it. But yeah, with that being said, we'll give you the super brief experience with it because unfortunately, it is for some reason assigned to your Microsoft Teams personal account, and it only uses that, and it doesn't have the full-fledged SMS support that I guess we were led to believe it's going to have at some point down the road. So those of you who don't have a breadth of friends and family using Teams, which I think is about 80, 95, 99% of us, it really is just an app to kind of show you what's to come. As far as my experience with it, I have nobody that I know, friends-wise, are one of my closest friends, but we use a Teams business account. So I don't have any personal friends to kind of test it out with. So I've only been able to kind of open and close the window. That's about it so far.
But you're not really missing out much if you use the quote unquote unauthorized app that we talked about last week. It's pretty much that's what it is. If you click the chat button in the taskbar, it'll bring up that nice little hub showing you all of your messages that you have in Teams for Life. And then you could also click open in Microsoft Teams, and then it will open up that new app that we talked about last week, which is not the Electron app. It's that new faster and more streamlined version of Teams, and you get all of your chats there. But you still can't make video calls, and you still can't make audio calls. It's basically a very limited experience at the moment. But Microsoft has said that there is more to come. And by the way, if you're not seeing it, the icon that is, you could try to summon it by hitting Windows key and C on your keyboard, and it should open up the Teams and the chat app as a pop-up window, which will float above the taskbar, and then you can get into more Teams chat by clicking Open Microsoft Teams. So it's not your iMessage or your FaceTime replacement just yet, at the moment at least.
Yeah, you'll actually get more functionality of just using SMS text on your phone app.
Yeah.
If you have an Android phone. With an iPhone, I don't know, use the new was it the messages, iMessage invite or something like that. Either way, it's early stages. And again, I'm not writing it off just yet because when the Your Phone app was in early stages and was very
Yep.
minimal, but it has become fairly robust. So, and with them getting rid of Skype or at least replacing it as far as consumers are concerned, I expect them to put a lot of work into this. So we'll see where they go in the next, what do we got? August, September,
Three,
October,
four
November,
months.
three
Yeah,
and a
yeah.
half more months. So
It's
keep an
still
eye on
pretty
it.
it's still pretty nice though, because before, when you wanted to chat with someone in Teams for Life or Teams for Consumer, I don't know what people call it, but that's what I call it.
I just called
Yeah,
it the very boring Teams personals. That's what they originally launched it as. So that's what I'm going to
you
keep it
would
as.
need to add it to your actual like professional account and then switch to it via the profile menu, and it's sometimes confusing, and then you get two kinds of notifications, and it gets a little bit messy. But now with the integration, you're able to separate out your personal from your work a little bit more easily. And I've been using it to chat with our previous guest on the show, Florian, about Windows Insider stuff and about Windows 10 stuff. And it's nice to have that quick access to personal chats if your friends are using it, at least. But if your friends aren't using it, maybe you might need to go back to Skype or iMessage or FaceTime or some other app.
For the time being, again,
Yeah.
as we mentioned in the future, the idea is that they are going to somehow, again, they haven't really clarified how they're going to do this handoff to SMS. I believe I tried to send out my first, because what the app will do for a lot of you is it will pull contacts from your Outlook account as well. So you'll have a bunch of people in there that you can reach out to. But it says, I think, with the opening messages that they will be sent a message. Letting them know about your request or something like that. I've tried sending out a message. It doesn't go through just yet. But again, in the future, perhaps you'll just be able to start typing up a message. And if they don't have Teams enabled, it'll just send them a text message. And then you'll get your, back and forth conversation through that as well.
And then Microsoft is planning to make this a quote unquote first class experience for consumers, with support for together mode, live emoji reactions, the ability to share your screen, drag and drop photos, videos, and other files with your contacts, and so much more. So, again, like we've said like a million times now in the last 10 minutes, this is just the beginning. So don't dismiss the app entirely just yet.
Keep hold of your Skype. Tell it you love it. It's still around.
And speaking of still around, Edge is still around and it's always getting updates. And I'll let you get into what's new in Edge version 92.
Yeah, Edge 90 or Edge itself is just, it seems to be whatever the development team they have for this has just been on a roll, knocking out updates and feature sets left and right, much better or much faster than what they had when they were using the Edge HTML engine or whatever.
Yeah,
This new
which,
Chromium one allows them to move faster.
yep.
And then a Microsoft version 92, uh, I think we will be getting support for more secure protocols protocols and navigation from HTTP to HTTPS on domain. So, as you know, the web is requiring a lot more people to have HTTPS, or at least prioritizing those more secure protocols. The other notable feature in version 92 is it would include natural language search for browser histories on the address bar. So, which will let users type things like cake recipe for last week. I think we had mentioned
Yep.
some of this with the evolved being search. This is just, it seems like it's a correlation with this, where it's allowing people to, again, be more casual with their searches, both the being search bar and now from the URL to get to certain destinations. So no longer needing to just type in www dot whatever it is specifically.
And the biggest feature is the password health dashboard, which is very huge because a lot of people might be reusing passwords across different websites, and that might mean your password, if one password is leaked, all of your passwords are leaked, and then you're in big trouble because they might have access to all of your accounts. But this new feature in Edge, if you visit the, I believe it is under the profile section, and
Thunder
then you
profile, yeah.
click setting save passwords, you'll see a score of your password and how strong it is, and if it is leaked online and how weak it is. And if you don't like it, you could hide it entirely and tell Edge, no, don't look at my password, and no, don't tell me, I don't care. My password is fine the way it is. But it's Microsoft trying to keep you safe when you're browsing online, and making sure that you're not reusing the same password, and that none of your social media and shopping and bank information and all that stuff, none of it is compromised.
Yeah, it's a super useful feature that I actually just I've been testing it out because I've been on Canary and things like in Dev and whatnot. But today I got a notification saying 16 of my passwords are leaked. So I had to go in
Nice.
and yeah, it's because I'm an idiot and used variations of the same password. And so like three sites or whatever things I was subscribed to had the same one. Three other ones had a different one that was a variation. Either way, it was a mess. But I went in and was able to change those. You know, it'll allow you to scan for further leaks or anything like that, right from
Yep.
the settings dashboard. And then once you go, if you opt in to change them, it'll drop you straight into whatever account it was
Yep.
that you need to change it. And you can change it there, save it in the password manager setup. And the other cool thing that I found out is there were so many old passwords I have. They were still pretty strong, but I didn't memorize them because, you know, I've become so dependent on my browser autofilling that I had to get my wife information about one. And you can go in to this password manager and you can view, there's an option to view the password itself so you can see
Yep.
what characters you have listed. So when, you know, it came time to give her the password and the username and all that kind of stuff, I was able to, you know, go in and quickly within, I think, 45 seconds, find the website, find the username, find the password, and the exact characters, things like that, and give it to her. So again, super cool new features. Again, I think LastPass took
Took a pricing change, and they
at the wrong
started,
time.
yeah, they
They're
started
taking a big
charging
L.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
And
they saw this coming.
on mobile too, now Edge on mobile is able to pick up on some of your saved passwords and sync it up with the app associated with that password. So I think Instagram and Pinterest are two websites right now that could pull your actual password from Edge itself without you having to re enter the password twice.
Yeah,
One
and they're
one more
also
new feature.
yeah, and I know it's not password related, but there is credit card information
Yep.
that can now be shared across platforms. I just found this out again today. So if you are entering a credit card, say you're shopping on Amazon on the desktop, and you're now on your phone, and you have you know your settings synced. When you start to go put in information for that, Microsoft will ask you, would you like to use, and then you can have specific credit cards listed under different nicknames. So if you have like, you know, family credit card, personal credit card, uh, don't want the wife to find out credit card, you can have those all listed for immediate use. So it's, you know, Edge is becoming pretty robust both on desktop and mobile.
And enough about Edge now. Let's go back to Windows 11. We just took a quick little break a
Yeah,
little bit to give you
that's
some
good.
breathing room to get prepared for the big news, which is the fourth major Windows 11 build. This was released, I believe it was late Thursday around 5 p.m. Eastern, which is a bit weird for Microsoft to release a build at that time. But there's a couple of noticeable changes. First of all, apps in the taskbar will now start flashing when a background activity requires attention. It always used to do that in Windows 10, but it was this very annoying orange flash that just would not stop until you touch the app itself. But now it's a little bit more subtle where it's this soft little pill icon that has a little red notification dot, and eventually it will fade away after a couple of minutes or seconds, I presume. So that is one big change. And then Microsoft also updated the hidden icons flyout on the lower right of the taskbar to look a little bit more consistent with the rest of Windows 11. So before it used to be squared, and like the rest of what Windows 11 is, it's finally rounded now. That is another big change. And then the third big change in this build is the ability to quickly access focus assist settings from the notification center, and the touch keyboard icon in the taskbar being updated to match the size of the other icons in the area of the taskbar. So that is just four big changes in this new Windows 11 build, and I'll let you get into your own thoughts on this build because I know you're always eager and always anxious to try out new builds.
Yeah, I know we use the word big and a lot of times, but for a lot of people, in perspective, these are still relatively
Small,
small
yeah,
UI
yeah.
changes. So but the benefit about this is that you'll notice, at least I did anecdotally, that the download and the install and the restart for this is
Yep.
fairly small. So I don't know about you guys, but when I used to get Windows 10 updates, no matter what the size was, no matter what the feature set was, it was always super long. So you could get one where it's like, oh, we changed the start menu to add a different color behind the letters, and it would take almost 30 minutes for a download, install, and restart. This one, it took, I don't know, maybe a little bit over a minute and a half for all of that. So again, it's hopefully when we start seeing feature sets come in, they're representative of what we're going to be getting for the install and download and restart for most of these things. The other thing I want to note is that we'd mentioned that the keyboard, which I'm using, becoming a big fan of on my Surface Go 2, making it small and things like that. I find it popping up and making sure that I can get access to it much easier from the bottom taskbar, making sure the icon's the same size and stuff like that has been fairly helpful in the last 12 and a half, 14 hours or whatnot. And being able to access focus assist more easily at the very top versus having to drill down into the new icons at the bottom of the action bar or whatnot is also very helpful, because when I'm at work, I just tend to put everything on priority only.
Yep.
When I get home, I just let everything kind of, I let the dam break and all my alerts come through. But being able to kind of toggle back and forth between those without having to get into those is pretty nice. One other thing I want to talk about is that, and this isn't new, but I just want to kind of put it on people's radars if they haven't already been doing this. You guys are probably better testers than myself. Is that when you go to change the icons in the Action Center for the settings that you want, I find it way easier in Windows 11 to do that than I did in Windows 10. And I think part of that is because of the way Windows 10 would kind of do the send you to settings to change that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Everything was just a link to the settings itself.
In this version, so if you're interested in changing just the preloaded ones that they have suggested, you can hit the pin icon and change not only which ones you want, you can add, subtract ones. So they have a sub menu if you hit the plus sign of quick settings to add there, and you can move the positioning of those right within the Action Center, so you never have to leave your screen to make those changes. Just something I thought I'd note for people who are wanting to change or get more granular with Windows 11.
I did miss one thing, which was an update for the Microsoft Store, which now has a cool new animation. When
Oh
you click
yeah.
an app, the whole thing like pulls up to the top, and then when you close away, it pulls down back into the bottom. So it's a neat little animation that you get when you're clicking through different apps in the store itself. And Microsoft says it should feel a little bit more faster and fluent now.
Yeah, I think what they've decided to do, and I think this is part of what uh, Android is doing, is that they are taking the animations and substituting the frame rates in the animations for speed.
Right.
It may not actually be faster, but it gives your eye something to look at and count time with as it transitions. Versus, like we used to get like a black screen for transition, a fade out, or something like that. Or when it comes to resizing, Windows would go from whatever size you wanted and jump straight to the next size. So it felt jittery versus now when you resize, there's that fluid shadow of,
Right.
whatever you're resizing. So I think what they're doing is they're going to be relying heavily on GPUs. So we'll see how that goes in the future. But the GPUs are also going to help with animations and what seems like speeding up or at least making more fluid your actions on the screen. So like you said, when you click down from the app that you're looking at and go to another app, it makes sense, the transition and the flow. So I'm looking forward to it. It looks really cool.
Yeah, and that is just some of the changes in this latest Windows 11 Windows Insider build. You could check out the full changelog over at our website where our writer gave it a full run through. So you don't need to go searching if you just install the build and you want to know what is new, what is fixed, what is broken, and more. And
Correct.
speaking of, now it's time for our fast recap.
All right. Put our
And
time
we
on the
have
clock.
like 6 different topics to get through, so I'll give us the full 10 minutes this week.
It was 8 minutes. Remember, we got to give them 8 minutes.
So I'm just
We've been
putting
we've been
10,
inching 10. All
10
right.
just to be safe and
And
get
I'm
us
I'm gonna split the
started.
difference. I'm gonna say 6.
We shall see.
All right.
Whoever is right gets a free Surface Pro 8 at the end.
I know you are you listening right here, Panos? This is what we're talking about here, buddy.
All right, so get us started with the new Edge in appearing in the Windows 11 store.
Yes, this will be the first time I believe that Microsoft has offered its browser in the store as a sort of standalone install. I don't know how exactly this will work in the future because I believe Edge is already installed on
It's already
device.
pre-installed on everything you buy, so I don't understand why they need a Win32 Edge app in the store unless it's just a way to show developers how easy it is to get Edge itself. So it's telling people like you don't need to go to the website to get an app, you just go in the store and search for it and then you'll find it that way.
Yeah, this also may be part of, I think, what we talked about last week as far as Microsoft's Windows as a service. This could
Right.
be a step towards that. Right now, like you said, I think this is just for developers to kind of show, dogfooding their own development platform. But I do believe in the future, if you were going to stream your Windows device or your Windows setup onto a device, you may be able to just go in the store and also bring the browser with you if it's not obviously pre-installed on whatever version or setup you have or cloud version you have of Windows. So, but I mean, if you want to go in and check it out, you can. Maybe it's prompting people just to check out more stuff in the store. I don't know. Again, because when Edge powers so much more than maybe say like an Office or
Right.
um, um, mail and calendar apps or whatever. It just seems odd that they would put this in the store, even though it's already in the system, but it's there.
And what else is there is redesigned context menus in and also a new share dialog in Windows 11.
Yeah. Again, this is all going towards the new look and feel of Microsoft's Windows 11, and this is catering towards all of us who are saying that you need to be consistent throughout, and that starts with the context menus. What we're seeing now is again a mix of icons, uh, better padding on the spacing between the words. There are submenus that you're allowed to click into as well that bring up further context menus that are visually aligned with, for the most part, visually aligned with what you're looking at. And there's a show more options, which again will take you to new context menus as well.
And other than that, their Microsoft is also not Microsoft. Amazon had some news about Windows 11 apps and the Amazon App Store.
Yeah, we had mentioned about 2 or 3 weeks ago that right around the same time that, or I guess a few weeks now, right around the same time that Microsoft announced that Android apps are coming to the store, Google decided to put the kibosh on it and say, well, only old apps are coming into the store because they implemented an Android app bundle. I will take responsibility on what I wrote. I believe I went in and updated it since that some of what we early reporting was taken out of context. The way Android app bundles work is that they are just a new way that Google is wanting developers to leverage the Play Store and all of its features. It isn't necessarily cutting off access to APKs, which will still be used for new and old apps. Old apps will still run just as they did before. What Amazon is doing, which will help Microsoft's endeavor because they're running Android apps through the Amazon store on Windows 10, is that they're supporting this new app bundle. So plainly put, any new apps that come up that show up on the Play Store can show up in the Amazon store and thus show up in Windows. So you won't miss out on the next version of TikTok or whatever new I think is it Clubhouse or whatever anything new like that because it is now following this new Android app bundles. Amazon will support it, which means Microsoft will support that, which means we will get it in the Windows Store.
And speaking of app bundles and apps and all these downloadable things, we want you guys to be very careful when you go on the internet and you type in Windows 11 download, because a new report from Kaspersky, which is a firm, a Russian firm that makes anti spyware and antivirus software, says that there are a lot of fake Windows 11 installers out there that if you download them, it'll just infect your computer with all kinds of ugly stuff. So when you're looking for Windows 11, the only way to get it right now is via the Windows Insider program on your computer itself. So don't go downloading stuff out there that will just damage your computer and put you at risk.
Yeah, it's a very simple process. There's no requirements to being an insider. I think, well, I take that back. You do need to have a Microsoft account. For those of you who are looking
Yep.
to go around this because you have a Microsoft account and try and download these installers, do so at your own risk. The rest of you, just get a Microsoft account.
Yeah.
Account. It's very easy. It's a simple email. It could be your junk email if you want to. Once you have one, it's super easy to become an insider. Takes one restart and you're in there, and you can pick which channel you would like. So it's I would rather you guys do that than
Then
scour the net for these nefarious versions.
And speaking of the net, Microsoft acquired a new cloud leader, Cloud Max Security.
Yeah, Cloud Knox is a leader in CIEM, which is, I believe, an acronym for, let me see if I can get this right, Cloud Infrastructure Entitlement Management. They brought them on board, I believe, this week. They are the third in a line of cloud security protections that firms that Microsoft has acquired. The first being Risk IQ and Refirm Labs. What they will be getting, or at least what users will be getting, I'm assuming maybe in the next few months or so down the road, they will be getting the ability to fold in unified privilege access with entitlement management provisions. And these will probably be, these will most likely be used in Microsoft Azure Active Directory. So IT managers will be able to grant permissions a little bit more granularly than they have been before. You won't have just a blanket access to a specific area or specific file sets or everything. With this, the IT managers will be able to kind of lock off things at certain times in certain areas under certain circumstances and conditions. So again, this is just Microsoft padding Azure's Active Directory feature set.
And there's also something else out there about a change in Windows 11 dark mode and Windows 11 night mode. This was a sort of a little bit of controversy where Microsoft said they would ship commercial PCs with the dark mode enabled. But now Microsoft has issued a correction, and we put out a post about it today as an apology because Microsoft is confirming that Windows 11 won't be using dark mode by default on commercial SKUs. They said that the company explained that Windows 11 will actually ship with the light mode turned on by default, but PC manufacturers will be able to ship their own PCs with a dark mode if they choose to. So just a little bit of a correction there on our part.
Yeah, that was the one thing I wanted to add that I was mentioning at the top that I'd forgotten is that, yeah, PC manufacturers can ship with dark mode. Microsoft says they're listening to customer feedback and this may change in the future. I call BS because if they're listening to customer feedback, they know dark mode is the more favorite one. Just ship it out of the box, Microsoft.
And with that said, I think we got through everything we wanted to talk about this week, which means it is time for our week ahead segment.
Yes, I'm sure we didn't do it in 6 minutes, so I lose this one. Microsoft Yo, my co-host, Surface Pro 8.
Exactly. But for the week ahead, this week we're talking about Microsoft Flight Simulator because Microsoft Flight Simulator is hitting Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S consoles next week on Monday, and it'll be available for download. And it is a Xbox Play Anywhere title, so you could play with your friends who have the game on PC. And that is what me and our gaming editor Laurent ended up doing today. We played a little bit of Flight Simulator together and we crashed our airplanes over JFK Airport because we are totally irresponsible flyers. But anyway, he did provide us with some B roll because he's testing the game ahead of his full impressions and hands on impressions, which will be coming on Monday. And we'll be playing it in the background throughout this little segment here. And overall, he says that he is pretty impressed with how the game is performing. He said that it loads pretty quickly compared to the version on PC. When I was playing on my PC, mine took around 5 or 6 minutes to load, and I was still in the loading screen, and he was already loaded on the tarmac and flying in the air. So it just shows you how powerful the Xbox hardware is. That it's able to run Xbox to run a flight simulator so powerful without any issues.
It's like it should have been made for it, right?
I know it should have came out on Xbox first and then shipped over to PC.
I wonder if they're doing a bait and switch where it's like, guys, we don't have Halo, but we do have this awesome flight simulator, and that been the exclusive for the year. I think it could have sold not only well, it could have been one of the key pivots for Microsoft saying, like, yeah, they do first person shooters, but have you seen Flight Simulator?
I, and then it also plays at 30 frames per second on Xbox Series X, but screen. But if you have a new one of those newer displays, it's able to run a little bit higher because of the new technology with the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, and I still want to go back to Microsoft Xbox being the simulator platform. Yeah, first person shooters, platformers, role players, simulators. I think they should be known for that.
So specifically, Laurent, he left a message about this, and I'm reading it to be responsible and correct myself because I think I wrong. He said that the developers said that the game is targeting 4K at 30 frames per second on the Xbox Series X, but the frame rate can't go above 30 frame rates on screens with variable refresh rate or freezing technology if you have it on your television. So that is my correction, and that is what I meant to say.
Look at that real time news right there, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. You got it live.
And I'm also doing a review of a new GameSir product. I reviewed their controller for the iPhone a couple of months ago, and they were kind enough to send me over they call it the F7 Claw, which is a little controller that you could clip onto your tablet while you play games like Fortnite or Call of Duty, and it makes your tablet a little bit easier to hold in the hand. So that is one review of mine that is coming up next week as well.
Yeah, I still have some hardware. I'm getting through that slowly. But my next two exciting ones are mostly software. Like I said, I am still in the midst of my creator review of different video editing software. And I'll follow that up with some audio editing ones as well. And I just started playing around with seriously the Outlook PWA. So I want to compare the plethora of mailing options you have on Windows and find out which one I think works best for my workflow. And that will actually include Gmail as well, the Mail app, Outlook, and Outlook.com. I think Thunderbird is another one, and Yahoo Mail. I'm going to try them all and see which one works best. But so far, I'm really enjoying the experience for the Outlook PWA, just the way it kind of contextualizes switching between the calendar app, your task app, the way it brings in notes, I think is super efficient and useful. I know that the Outlook app doesn't currently do that. Neither does the Mail app, but this one does. So I'm going to try and bring that to you just so you guys can triage email a little better.
You're going full on with PWAs, aren't you?
I'm gonna give it a shot because I feel again I want it to be the future. I know it's gonna be a few years from now before people are like, oh, okay, I don't really necessarily need the app because again, I like the fluidity and the design of the mail app, But this PWA, it's got something there. There's something big there.
And I think that said, that is everything we wanted to talk about, unless you have anything else you want to add.
No, that's going to be it for me. Busy week of software reviews, a few hardware pieces as well.
And I will be off next week because I'm heading on a little trip. So Kareem will have his own special episode with a special guest next week. So I don't know if you want to talk about that right now.
Yeah, we're gonna bring on podcast favorite. Shane's gonna be here, which means we'll probably be talking about some hardware. We'll find some hardware to talk about, even if it's not a Surface at the moment. We'll find something to talk about, and then whatever other news. I believe that Microsoft is earning call next week as well, so we'll talk about money and how financially Surface is doing as well, and some other things, whatever the news is for that week. So if you're a fan of Shane and his duo reporting, Surface duo reporting, he'll be on next week to help us out with the news.
All right, everybody. And that said, I think we are done for today. So see you again soon. Same place, same time.
Yeah, you can find me at Mindhead1 on Twitter. And again, that's Mindhead1, not Mindhead, because as you guys all know, we're still trying to get that label back. Where can they find you?
A back journey.
Yeah, and you can also find all of our giveaways, all of our reviews, all of our opinion pieces, all of the late breaking news, polls as well, and just straight up images and fun stuff at on Microsoft, which is also on Twitter as well. I'm gonna see if we can convince our editor in chief to start posting on TikTok and Instagram. I doubt that's gonna be a thing for us, but
uh,
hey, it's worth a shot.
we could have like little, what do they call it, reels of our podcast, and it will go trending on TikTok and also on Twitter, on
Yeah,
Instagram.
I was listening to The Verge the other day, and they said that they had a whole audience on TikTok. They didn't realize that The Verge was actually a tech website. They just thought they were some kind of like TikTok, like 10 to 15-second informational like news thing. And the person who like runs the account was like, "No, we have a full website full of stuff." So maybe we'll get a new audience there. Who
So
knows?
we're hopping on TikTok the week after next week, and we'll be doing a 30-second podcast.
We're
This will be a first, and it will be trending all over the internet.
we're gonna bring back Quibi this way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everyone, thanks for watching, and as always, see you again soon.
Enjoy your weekend.